Hey man, so I was thinking about ordering some... You good, bro?
No.
Why?
Because I've been up for 48 hours.
Once again, I'm gonna ask. Why?
Because I have to beat Sly 2 Band of Thieves without jumping and pressing the circle button, okay?
How come? There's no reason for you to do that to yourself.
Because I have to...
You're right. So you want to go get McDonald's?
Yeah.
Alright, let's go. You're driving. Welcome back to Bass, everyone. Today, I'm going to be answering the question that nobody asked. Can you beat Sly 2 Band of Thieves without jumping and pressing the circle button? And before I get started, I want to make it completely clear what I mean by no jumping and pressing the circle button. It may seem obvious to you in just the description that I just gave you, but I live streamed some of this and people were still confused. I am banning anything that requires you to be in the air and press the circle button in this game. Because, you know, you could probably get around jumping and pressing the circle button to get on, like, spire jumps or, you know, different poles or stuff just by being on a high surface and then falling down and pressing the circle button. I kind of count that as cheating. As long as you have to be in the air and then press the circle button to do something or get on it, that's banned in here. I'm not going to be doing that during this video. So no jumping and pressing the circle button, which is a big part of the game. A lot of the actions that you do in this game require you to do that, and it's kind of become a meme in the community and people who play the Sly Cooper games because you're always told by Bentley and whatever instructions you're given to jump and press the circle button. And so I wondered, since this is kind of like nailed into your brain and they're constantly telling you that you have to do this and it's like a requirement for a lot of the game, can you beat it without doing it and just completely cheese everything that was set up? That is what I'm set out to do. Every once in a while there'll be like a ladder or something that you don't have to jump to attach yourself to or be in the air to do so, and I'm going to allow that just because it's in a couple parts of the game and it doesn't require you to jump at all. All I have to do is press the circle button. So I'm going to clarify again because once again I was having people that were confused in like the live streams. You can press the circle button and you can jump. You can't do the two together or use things that require you to be in the air and then press the circle button. That's pretty much all I'm going to say on that. I'm going to be going through every part of the game. Even if I don't complete the game or there's something that I'm stuck on, I'm going to continue and see how much I can complete. Although, I don't know, maybe I finished the entirety of the game. When I'm recording this right now, I've already done it. And it took hours upon hours. I'm telling you, this was crazy. I've never done something like this. I've never like pushed the limit of a certain game before like I'm doing now, and I thought it was a lot of fun, you know, doing this, and hopefully you all do enjoy it and I can do more stuff like this in the future. But this is definitely the most time it's taken for me to make a video or do something I need for a video. Now I gotta make this, talk about it, and edit it. But like I said, hope you all enjoy, and let's go ahead and get into it. To follow along in this video, you're probably going to want to know a couple of tricks that I'm going to be using to do things that I'm not supposed to, and you'll definitely figure out what exactly that is here soon. First off is the glitch high jump, which pretty much allows you to do a triple jump in the game and reach places that you usually aren't able to. To do this, all you have to do is hold down the square button and spam X. This is kind of my finger layout as I do it, just to give you a good idea. It's not that great of a representation, but I figured showing you guys this was better than nothing. As an example, during a speedrun of Sly 2, speedrunners will come over to this area right here and do a glitch high jump to reach this little balcony that you usually have to follow along the path and do parkour in. This allows you to completely skip it. The next trick, which isn't going to be used until later on in this video, allows you to spit out of different air ducts and little areas that you crawl into with a lot of speed and get past certain areas. All you have to do is use this charge attack right here by holding down the square button and press the circle button around the same time. Of course, this is when you're next to an air duct or an area that you're going to crawl into. You want to start by charging, and then right when you're about to start charging, press the circle button. It takes some precision, it takes some time to get down, but eventually you should get it. The last thing that you need to know is this thing called the reload code. When you pause the game and you enter a certain code on the pause menu, it will allow you to reload the area that you are in, and it will spawn you back at your last spawn. Say you entered the nightclub, it'll spawn you back at the entrance of the nightclub like you're seeing right now. If you're out in the open, in the hub world, it'll spawn you back in the safe house, and so on and so forth. The code itself is left R1 up down up left using the D-pad and the buttons that I told you. Now it's finally time to start the game, so I started up a brand new save file and I immediately skipped the tutorial. You can do this by entering another code like you did the reload code, the one I just showed you. If you want a full list of cheat codes and stuff, you can go ahead and find them on IGN, and you just type in slide 2 cheat codes, you'll find them all, and you can warp to any episode you'd want. And this actually turned out to be very handy while playing through the game. If I got bored, if I got stuck on a certain mission or a certain level, I was able to go ahead and teleport to anyone that I wanted. The first thing that I did is teleport to episode 8, because once you get there, you already unlock all of the unlockables. And by that I mean they're all available on the Thief net. You still have to collect coins to get the upgrades, and that's what I did. I grinded out, I got a bunch of coins. It took a while, but eventually I got the paraglider as well as feral pounce, which you will need during this playthrough. I also got hover pack for Bentley and turnbuckle launch for Marie, and that's pretty much all that you'll need. You can go ahead and get others if you do want them, but I wouldn't recommend using the time to get coins. It just takes too long. But with that all out of the way, you're finally ready to start playing. Going into episode 1, it's very easy, at least at the beginning. You pretty much play it as normal. The only thing that I could really point out that you would need to do is to get on top of this little tower right here, you'd have to perform a glitch high jump onto this little ledge, because the canopy that we'd usually use to jump up on there is not there for some reason. It doesn't load until later. And of course, you can't use the pole to get up there because you're not allowed to jump and press the circle button. The next 3 missions are a cakewalk, because you wouldn't even need to jump and press the circle button in the first place to actually complete them. I mean, it can help out, but really it's not required at all. And during missions with Bentley and Marie, you almost never have to deal with it because they don't really have much to do when it comes to that button combination. So, of course, when you go into your first mission as Marie, there really isn't anything to worry about. The next mission is a little bit trickier because you will have to use some precisely timed triple jumps or glitch high jumps to get up to certain areas. But other than that, it should be relatively easy. The next 3 missions require no jumping and pressing the circle button at all. One of them you do play as Sly, but all you have to do is follow Neela around. The other 2 is played as Bentley and Marie, so you don't have to worry about it at all. I know it right now, it seems like this entire game is going to be super easy, but trust me, you haven't seen anything yet. But at this point, you've already almost completed episode 1. We are moving on to the operation for this episode, the final mission. The operation, while it does have some obstacles, is easy once again. To get into this little area right here, which you would usually have to jump and press the circle button to get into Murray's arms so he could throw you up there, just use the canopy, or whatever it's called. And you can go ahead and jump right onto the ledge you need to bomb, and then go back into it again. And this part right here is a little tricky. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to triple jump or glitch high jump into the loading zone. Usually you would have to climb your way up into the loading zone by jumping and pressing the circle button, but you can just glitch high jump into the loading zone and it'll bring you where you need to go. After that, just fight Dimitri and you are on your way to episode 2. Once there, the first mission will require, once again, a glitch high jump to get to a place that was usually unreachable without jumping and pressing the circle button, but that's pretty easy. And the second mission is just you pickpocketing keys, so simple enough. The next 3 missions don't require you to jump and press the circle button at all. It's optional in the one after the second mission where you go ahead and raid that guest house, but the other 2 is either a mini game or you play as Murray. The next mission will be a little bit tricky without jumping and pressing the circle button, but it's definitely doable, and I'm sure people in some of their casual playthroughs didn't even do it. It would just help out. The other 2 have no instance of jumping and pressing the circle button at all, so you don't have to worry about that either. And once again, we are at the operation. Episode 2 is almost complete. And would you look at that, there is not one instance in this operation that you have to jump and press the circle button, so you get another free pass. But now we're moving on to episode 3, which might be one of the most difficult episodes to pull off. And starting off with the first mission, you can already tell we are in for a challenge. Going in here, you need to get up to this little balcony area where you can go spy on Rajan. However, you can't get up there usually without sliding down a little rope. And to do that, yes, you have to jump and press the circle button. And there's a lot of obstacles on the way to get up there as well that require it too. but I found a way. A little glitch high jump or two and a feral pounce and you are over there and ready to complete the mission. Unfortunately, even reaching the next mission is going to be very difficult, and you're going to have to do some precise platforming and glitch high jumps as well as feral pounces to get over there. Looking at the footage, you can tell it's going to be a little bit difficult, but with some time, I eventually got it. Then you can just complete the mission like normal. However, the next mission will probably take you a very long time and took me about an hour to complete. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to come over to this little waterfall thing after starting the mission. The mission is all about collecting plants at the top of trees. However, to get on those trees, you have to get on ropes and vines and all sorts of stuff by jumping and pressing the circle button. However, by coming over to this little wheel thing and getting behind it, as well as jumping and using your paraglider, this totally freaks the game out. These little proxy spots are very useful when it comes to this entire challenge right now, and we're going to be using a lot later on. But by jumping into and using your paraglider in certain areas, the game completely freaks out and sends you flying. In this case, you get sent to pretty much the very top of the level, and from there you can paraglide wherever you want, and you will have to do this multiple times to get all of the plants. Fortunately, following this mission are 2 missions with Bentley and Marie, and then 2 more missions with Slide that don't require you to jump and press the circle button at all. During the operation, there is a lot of splitting up work between Sly, Bentley, and Marie, so you won't have to be too worried. However, there is a part where you do have to reach the top of this building, and you will have to do some tricky and precise platforming to do so, but after that is just the boss fight, and you're moving on to episode 4. In episode 4, the first 3 missions are just with Bentley. However, at the very end of the 3rd one, you will be releasing Sly, and to get out of his little prison camp, you will have to do some precise glitch high jumps and feral pounces to get out of there, but once you do that, you can just make your way to the safe house and job complete. The next mission, it will be a little bit difficult to get over to where you need to go, but once you do, the rest of it is Murray and you won't have to deal with too much. Then the next 2 will be Sly, and they're not impossible, but they are a little bit difficult because of the, I'd say, vertical nature of this level. It is difficult to get places without jumping and pressing the circle button, but it's not impossible. There's a few tricks, I'll show them on screen, and you should be able to get them just fine. The next mission is extremely difficult or downright impossible with Sly. However, this is one of like 3 missions in the game that you can complete with another character, which is just great luck for me. You're probably thinking, wait, you can complete different missions with different characters? Not necessarily. By using the cheat code that I talked about earlier, which is the reload code, you can reload yourself back into the safe house and then choose Bentley from there, and then just use him to complete the rest of the mission. He has the hover pack, which allows him to get to higher areas than Sly can because he can't jump and press the circle button. The operation took me over 3 hours. I'm just going to go ahead and say it is almost impossible unless you have crazy luck, which I eventually got, but it was so frustrating. If you were there during the live stream, you know what I'm talking about. Going in there is a ton of platforming that requires you to jump and press the circle button, which, once again, we cannot do. Your first goal is to get to the top of this building right here, so you can go ahead and punch in a certain code for Bentley to get to the other side of the map. And to do that, yeah, you have to jump and press the circle button. However, we can use a proxy spot by jumping into and using paraglider that will launch us onto the top of that building. First of all, that took me like 30 minutes because I didn't even know if it would in the first place. Got very discouraged. Then after that, there was another building that was almost impossible to get to without jumping and pressing the circle button. 2 hours later, I went back to that proxy spot, and I eventually got it to where it flew me out to where I needed to go to complete the mission. Although once there, you need to be very careful because you can fall off very easily, and you're going to have to do some very precise platforming to get over to the areas that will load you in to those little hacking mini games. After that, you should be fine, but in the process, make sure you be careful. I'm acting as if you guys are doing this with me. None of you want to torture yourselves the way that I tortured myself while doing this, but after that, the rest of the mission is straightforward, and we're moving on to episode 5. We are halfway done with the game. The first mission to episode 5 was very difficult to figure out. The very beginning was fine because all you were doing was taking pictures, but after that, you had to get to the re-education tower, which I would probably say is the highest point in the entire game. And of course, you have to jump and press the circle button and do parkour and stuff to get there. I mean, that's the point of the game. They wanted to make it fun. They wanted it to have you climbing the tower be this huge jungle gym, and that's the problem. Eventually, after like 30 minutes, I found a proxy spot that launched me up into the stratosphere, and then from there, I was able to paraglide to the re-education tower, and it was fine. The next mission was Sly, and it was just taking pictures again, so nothing too difficult. Of course, you're going to have to do some tricky platforming because the episode is very vertical, but that's just in a general sense. Then the next two were Bentley and Marie, so you don't have to worry about those. And then the third one, the worst mission to complete throughout this entire game. Yeah, the pickpocketing was fine, but once you got into this little area right here, I mean, tell me how you're supposed to complete that without jumping and pressing the circle button. Well, I figured it out, actually, using a proxy spot that took me about an hour to get. It took me forever. It was the most unreliable proxy spot. I doubt I could ever get it again, but I was lucky enough to fly to the other side of the map, which was just 1 in a million, I'm guessing. The next two missions to complete were Bentley and Marie, so no problems there, and then the operation surprisingly didn't even require you to jump and press the circle button. There was a section where you chased Neela, and I figured, now that's going to be difficult to do without jumping and pressing the circle button. However, it was surprisingly easy, and now we're moving on to episode 6. I'll probably say episode 6 is probably the episode that I sunk the most time into because you need the most perfect tricks to actually be able to do it, and it was very frustrating, but I guess that kind of gives away that I got it. However, starting off with the first mission, there's a little bit of surveillance that goes on, a little bit of picture taking, but then afterwards you have to climb the top of this little hill. Simple enough? No, you have to jump and press the circle button to do a lot of things on that hill. Eventually I found a proxy spot that took me forever to find, and even longer to actually get right and launch me up into the stratosphere so I could paraglide over there. The next 4 missions are very easy. They do not require you to jump and press the circle button. However, the next one after that definitely does. You have to get on a train with Sly and get to the very end. However, once again, it's an obstacle course. It's a jungle gym. There's a lot of jumping and pressing the circle button involved. Eventually, there is a way to get on top of the roof where you're not supposed to. I'm showing it on screen, and then from there you can kind of cheese your way through the rest of the mission, and we're moving on to the operation. The operation is a very similar thing. Once again, you're getting on a train. There's going to be a few instances where you do have to do some precise platforming, but this one area, which took me hours to get, had simply no way to get on top of the roof. At least I thought. And eventually, I don't know how I did or how I came up with it, there's 2 guards patrolling. They're just standing there doing their thing. And if you go over to them and get their attention, I'd kill one of them so it's easier to do this, and use the other to shoot at you. If you do a feral pounce into the air right next to the roof of the cart or the area that you have to get to, and he shoots you at the exact same time that you're right next to it, you can damage boost onto that roof. This took me a couple of hours. It was very difficult, but eventually I got it, and I almost gave up, but this actually got me to where I needed to go. There was no way to get up there without jumping and pressing the circle button. But after that nightmare, I completed episode 6, and we are moving on to episode 7. At this point, we are 3/4 of the way done with Sly 2 Band of Thieves. The first mission, like many others, is just you taking pictures. Really not a big deal. Doesn't take that long. So that one's very easy. Now this next mission is going to be very weird. I'm going to have to make up some rules, sort of. I really don't know. But in the PS3 version, which I've been playing this entire time, it is impossible to complete this mission. Okay, you have to jump and press the circle button to do it. However, I went ahead and went to the PS2 version because the trick I'm trying to pull off here, I really thought could work. But for some reason, every time you try to do it on the PS3 version, the game would crash, and I thought that was really weird. So I went over to the PS2 version. I have a very low quality video because I don't have a PS2 capture card, but I recorded myself doing it. The game doesn't crash on the PS2 version. The PS3 just has a bug for some reason, but if you go over to another version and do it, I guess that counts. I'm going to have to make up a rule because I switched versions. However, I guess that mission's still possible. By using the launching technique that I showed you earlier, where you go under a table or a surface while charging up your can at the same time, it launches you outwards, okay? And so I used that on the entrance to this cave, and it launched me to the other side to the bear that was once unreachable. And from there, the game disables the job failed screen. The job failed screen would usually appear once you hit the ice because you're not supposed to. It would wake up the bears. But on the PS2 version, if you do that trick, it launches you to the other side and it disables the job failed screen. Once you get that, the rest of the mission is planting these transmitters, which you can use either Sly or Bentley. I used both because there are some areas that are hard to reach with Sly. However, there's another proxy spot that I want to introduce you guys to in this episode that launches you very high into the sky once again, which will be useful later on. Moving on to the next mission. It is impossible. I got very lucky with the previous one, where I was able to change platforms or versions of the game and find a way around it. However, this is definitely impossible. I can't think of any way ever that you would be able to do this. You have to jump and hit the circle button to activate a cutscene that allows you to progress through the mission. I see no other way to do it. Sly 2 Band of Thieves is unfortunately impossible to beat without jumping and pressing the circle button. While that is unfortunate, we did get 3/4 of the way through the game, maybe even a little bit more, definitely a little bit more, without jumping and pressing the circle button, which I think is crazy. And we'll talk more about that later, but let's go ahead and see if we can beat the rest of the game without jumping and pressing the circle button, because this is a lot of fun, and I guess my main intent wasn't to complete the game without jumping and pressing the circle button, because I thought, yeah, it was probably going to be impossible, but I wanted to go out and see how much you could complete. The next mission is a Marie mission, so nothing to worry about. Nice change of pace after that crazy one beforehand that crushed my dreams. And then the one after that is a Sly one, and to reach it, you're going to have to use a proxy spot and then paraglide over there, and then you have to do it again to get to the top of the tower, so yeah, that one's pretty annoying. The one after that is yet again another Marie mission, and it's going to be another nice change of pace, because after that, we have another frustrating mission, where what you have to do is get over to this little island right here and steal an egg. However, once you get to the island, screw it, you can't even get to the egg. So what you're going to have to do is reload the game by using the reload code, and then use the proxy spot to go ahead and paraglide over there. You want to make sure you get over to the island in the first place so you can load these birds, which allows you to load the cutscene, which allows you to load the egg to grab. To get back over to mainland and finish the mission, all you have to do is hit the reload code and it will finish it for you. Last but not least in this episode is the operation, and it was relatively easy until you get to the rock climbing wall part. And I thought it was going to be impossible, but eventually I found a proxy spot that allows you to get to the very top and get a good score. However, you were timed. Once you start your trial, hit the reload code. This will give you a little bit of a boost because you'll be in the safe house, which is closer to the proxy spot that you need. Select Sly, immediately go to this proxy spot right here. You are under a time limit, and try and get it to where it launches you up before you lose time. This took a while. After that, you should be all set to go ahead and move on to episode 8, which, once again, is very frustrating. This is the second half of the game. Has just been not the greatest. I mean, after selecting the first mission, it's pretty much impossible to get where you need to go without this proxy spot right here, which is super unreliable, and I got to work like one time. But hey, that's how you get over there. The mission itself is okay. You're gonna have to do some precise platforming, but you should be fine. There's, once again, picture taking. After that, an easy Bentley mission, and then moving on, we have a Marie mission, which eventually leads to Sly going into this one little area, where once again, you cannot complete it. This is the second instance in the game where you have to get on spire jumps or jump and press the circle button. So unfortunately, this area is not able to be completed. But once you complete it normally, we move into an easy TNT mission and an easy pickpocketing mission. And then after that, we finally have the operation, the final mission for the game, and you can't complete it because to activate certain cutscenes, you have to get on spire jumps. Unfortunately. Since we've done all of the episodes, you can go ahead and go back to the tutorial if you want to and complete that. It really isn't that hard. There's a few tricks which I will show on the screen, but you should be able to eventually figure those out. Jumping into this plant right here will activate the cutscene, and the tutorial is pretty much over. So in conclusion, Sly 2 Band of Thieves is impossible to beat without jumping and pressing the circle button. But I will say, you can get really far, and it was a lot of fun doing this. I hope to do something similar in the future, and I may just do Sly 3 and see if I can do that without jumping and pressing the circle button. I don't know if I want to put myself through that, and I know Sly 3 is going to be even harder, so we'll see. If you have any video suggestions or even challenges for me to do, let me know in the comments below. Even if it isn't Sly Cooper, maybe it's a game that I've played or you want me to play, anything. I love doing challenges like this, and I want to do more in the future. Like I said, it doesn't just have to be Sly Cooper. I also have something very interesting to announce. If anybody is able to finish those missions that I deemed impossible, let me know, please. Record that and then send it to me. If anybody is able to do that, whichever mission it is, I'll give you $25. And if one person is able to do all 3 before anybody else, you get $100. I know it's a little risky to announce something like this and say that I'm going to give somebody money for doing something, but I'll make everything public. If anybody has video proof and they're able to do it, you can put it on social media, hold me accountable, I will pay you the $25 or $100 or whatever it is. I just want to be able to say that you can complete Sly 2 Band of Thieves without jumping and pressing the circle button, and then I think it would be really cool to speedrun the game without jumping and pressing the circle button. Beat the entire thing without doing it, speedrun it, see what my time would be. I think it would be insane. However, I can't do that right now because it's impossible, so I want the extra help, and I also wanted to give an incentive to the community. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's impossible. I tried all different angles, but just in case somebody comes up with something, I wanted an incentive for people to go out and look. So $25 or $100 or whatever. If you do it, just message me on Twitter or Instagram, and we'll swap details. I'll PayPal you something or whatever you need to do. But I'm definitely very interested in that. And if that actually goes well, I might have other Sly Cooper bounties in the future. I'm just going to call it that, a bounty, because it's kind of what it is. I'm looking for somebody to do something in-game. You can call it similar to a speedrun bounty, so anybody who can do any of that, just let me know, and like I said already, I've mentioned it multiple times, you'll get your money. Also, if you do send me something, I will be checking the trick myself and making sure that I can replicate it as well before anything goes down. So I just want to make that clear. Specifically, I believe in the second mission that was impossible, where you go into the room with the saw blades. There might be a proxy spot or something that can send you to the other side or wherever you need to go. That's very possible. I just wasn't able to find it. So I think everybody should start there at least, if anybody is interested. But with that being said, everybody, thank you all so much for watching. This was a very fun video to make. Definitely the biggest video I've ever made, and it took me hours upon hours to do. And like I said, check out the Sly Cooper bounty. Try it yourself if you are interested. Give me suggestions for other videos, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace.